So I've seen comments everywhere I look around people that do not feel comfortable with the way you protect yourself with the longsword, or do not know exactly how to do it efficiently. Well, I'm here to teach you how I do it, and also a way to do it that are quite realistic, even though that's not the main point of it. Main point of it is to keep you safe from the enemy's blade. Let's get into it. So, for anyone to say that it's hard blocking with, I understand it completely. But this weapon is essential, or how can you say, pretty good at blocking it in its core. The way the longsword works, that you will capture one sword here, scroll down here, and you can stab them. That's how you do it IRL. In VR, there is no such thing as this. They only do this, they do this, and then they go away. So let's see how I, for example, draw. Even though you cannot hold a parry or block the same way you'll do IRL in playing sorcery, you can still do it for a short amount of time, and that's where this weapon shines. Because you cannot hold it, but you can still abuse it, and you can keep their sword in check in enough time for you to strike them. That is the whole point of this sword. It is counterattacking. It is not to hold a block necessarily. It is to counterattack and use their attack against them. I will show you some more of it later. Just need to choose something. Alright. So we have in here. Alright. So whenever we fight, you'll see that I have my sword close to me. It does not matter how hard, how fast he hits. This was a bad idea for you, my friend. Come here. There we go. I think he's dead. But as you can see, it's not the tip that I turn. I try to hold my point against him, no matter what. Whenever he attacks me, I will do my utmost not to change where the actual sword is, only the handle. As you'll see, I only move this part. I do not move this part as I see many people do. We move this part because it takes way less energy for you, which would mean that you can stay in the fight longer. But it will mean that you can stay in the fight longer, stay more agile. It will also mean that you can fight quicker, and that you never have to worry about like when to stab, because you can stab basically whenever you want to with this technique. It is the same that you use RL. Normally I do not go after realistic fighting, but I do go after what's most effective in VR, and in this case it is completely the same. Hold in front of you, stand right, stand when you're ready to back down or go forward. As I just mentioned, it is important for you to have one leg in front of you, bent a little bit, and the next one behind you, stretch out a little bit, so you can easily get forward and thrust, or backwards and duck or dodge. That is important to know. It is not just, you don't just stand still. Do this while doing, because in VR, even though you can use your joystick, it is not as fast as if you thrust IRL while using the joystick. Then you can thrust even faster than if you just use the joystick. That's why you will always see me both use the joystick and IRL movements to get an upper hand on the enemy. It will make you so much faster and way easier to hit your enemy. You still need to remember though, to keep your pointy end at the enemy's neck region. You'll give a higher chance of thrusting them whenever you need to. And do not skip a beat. It's about taking their sword, or staff in this, or whatever we call it, take their thing, and then strike them. Use that as a kind of measuring point, because you already have your sword aligned to their head, or whatever weak point you're going for. So do not matter where they're hitting from, they will only help you hit your spot. As I just glanced over, you can use the sword or whatever weapon they have to basically align your own sword. That's where the counterattack comes in. You can use their own sword as a measuring point. You hit the sword in, for example, my side, you can see I hit their blade, and then I'm striking them. Because I know where the sword is now. Because I use their swords to align my own. That's just a thing you need to remember. This is not about being perfect at blocking, even though it will help you be that. But it's a general advice to both have an easy time blocking. Because as you'll see, when I do this... Oops. There we go. When I do this, you can see how slow it is. When I do this, it is way faster. But do not think it's just easy. You still need to read where the enemies are at and respond to it correctly. And decide if you want to go in for the kill or not. Because whenever you go in for the kill, like you saw there, my sword's out and they can hit me. So be careful. But as long as you stay close and protected, they cannot do anything for you, especially not in a duel. Because you're so close that no matter what you do, you'll not have any kind of a bottle that can get past that defense. So stay active and defensive at the same time. Exactly like you use it IRL, as far as I know. That's exactly how you should use a longsword in VR. Even when I'm just holding still. Oh, okay, fair enough. Also, you should always remember, your blade is not just on one side. You can always use the other side of the blade to cut off the necks. Another video is coming on that, because there's a technique that abuses that thing a lot. But in general, remember that you have a blade on both sides, so either if you swing forward or backwards, you're still going to do damage to an enemy. Because no matter where you hit the enemy, you're going to take damage, especially if you poke them. Oh. There we go. See, versatile. Don't even need to use the blade. And of course, if you think, well, that's just the modded weapon. What about this one? Exact same technique. It is, I typically use the other one because it's more refined, it's more precise. But this one used is just like the other one. See, exactly the same. And this is just a general rule, because I do not want to speak about techniques that only works with modded weapons. Alright, I don't see a point in them. These techniques I'm showing you here works with every single longsword that you can find, unless it's really abstract. Just so you know. Well, as another precaution, I want to make sure that this technique works with right hand too. Even though I'm personally left-handed, but I use many weapons right-handed to diversify my fighting styles. Therefore I want to try this with right hand too, even though longsword is the one weapon I am really bad at using right-handed. But even though I'm bad at it, it still works really good. So don't worry about that. Well, but I think that's all of it. So I hope this helped you. If it did, please give me a like. And maybe even a subscribe. And please tell me in the comments if this helped you in any way. Always want to help people. Be better at the game. Learn new ways to play. Instead of just flailing around. And push themselves nonetheless. And also, have a good one.